If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay. Okay, here we go. We're on. Okay. Welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Oh, boy. If you like our show, you can check us out on Patreon. I'm going to be putting up a show there with Norman Pardo. And I'm going to be putting up a couple explosive YouTube videos about this Matt Gaetz situation, which I'm going to be talking about tonight. Okay, so if you like our show, check out our Patreon. I especially need your support this month and probably next month, too. We got about a 35-40% drop in the podcast income. And that's just because, the ad revenue is high during the Christmas season. And so we just had this huge drop. But I've also incurred all these reoccurring debts with all kinds of stuff I got myself into, medical insurance and other wastes of money. So if you can help out by promoting the Spreaker or the iHeart, the iTunes, the Apple Plays link, if you see it on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or something like that, if you could just retweet it for me, that'd be a big help. I'd appreciate it. You can go to sign up. We want to support the show. If you're listening on YouTube, you're costing me a lot of money. But I say it every week, it'd be really kind if you would just go to Spreaker, and I would actually make some money from you listening to the show, rather than just listening to your complaints on YouTube, a platform that pays me nothing and does nothing for me, really. I should just totally dump it all together. It's nothing but a nuisance, like a spam comment situation. So if you could go to Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com, find the Opperman Report, and sign up for free. There's a chat room right now. I'm live right now, by the way, on Friday, January 28th. I actually thought today was like Tuesday. Okay. I'm talking to my kid today. She says, "Hey, Dad, what do you have nothing to talk about tonight?" I said, "Tonight? What are you talking about tonight?" I'd say I would have gone this whole day without even knowing today was Friday. That's how freaking crazy and hectic it's gotten over here. The week just flies by before I get a chance to do anything, get anything accomplished. It's just crazy. Oh, now what's going on here? I screwed that up. I got so much I want to talk to you about. Okay. Now, coming up after this, I'm going to be playing a show, one with Tony Redman, who's an author and writes a lot of articles and books and stuff like that about the punk rock scene in New York City. But he contacted me because he's been doing all this research into like the 60s and early 70s radical groups. We talk about them, May 19 and Sam Melville Brigade and all that kind of stuff. And so he did a very good interview. I really enjoyed it. It kind of got misplaced. We did this a long time ago, and it kind of got lost. But we discovered it again, so I'm playing that tonight. And then in part 2, Caitlin Rother, who wrote a book about that fascinating story about the woman who hung herself at that Oceanside mansion in California. And her hands were bound, and she was gagged, but then they ruled it a suicide. Incredible story. And left with more questions after interviewing the author there, Caitlin Rother. But there's going to be a TV series out of this, too, so it's been optioned for a TV series. So maybe some information will come out during that portion. Okay. Now, I got some sad news for Opperman Report listeners, long-time listeners. A good friend of the show, Hank Harrison, who was, known for his work with the Grateful Dead and all of his adventures in his life. And he's the father of Courtney Love, the biological father of Courtney Love. Of course, estranged now. And, everyone now, when we found out this week that he died, everybody starts contacting me out of the blue. "Oh, Ed, did you hear about Hank? Did you hear about Hank?" People finding my YouTube channel and my podcasts and about Hank Harrison. And it's just amazing how we have this connection. And it's even more sad too that another regular guest on this show has passed on. We've lost so many in the 9 years I've been doing this show. But just the fact that so many people in the audience recognize the connection between me and Hank and his wife. I contacted her this week, and she says, "Oh, he loved you so much, Ed. He thought so much of you, and he really, really enjoyed coming on the show and talking to you." And I know he did. I know it was a big deal to him. And me and Hank have had a lot of. We've met in person. I've been to his house. I've been to his farm. A few years back. We went out to his house and we filmed with him. We were working on a TV documentary project back then. And then we took out to this horse ranch that his wife worked at or something, trained horses. And just whatever you have to say about Hank Harrison, he was a man of the world. He was a man of a lot of experiences, and he lived a life, a larger-than-life life. And he would always go on. But on the air, he had a different personality than he did off the air, that's for sure. And on the air, he would come on and, and talk about what a genius he was. I got a 160 IQ. I'm the smartest guy in the world. And he was a very smart guy. He was a very, very smart guy, And I remember one time when his book had just finally got that Love Kills, the assassination of Kurt Cobain. He finally got it into print. And it was ready for sale because he was giving it away for free on the show for so many years. Just send him an email, he'd send you the PDF. But finally, he got the thing in print. So right away, he wants to come on the show. I bring him on, and he's going on. And if you're not smart enough to read, don't buy the book. Don't buy the book. He must have said, "Don't buy the book" about 25 times in this interview to promote the book, to sell the book. He comes on the show to sell a book, and he's screaming at the audience, "Don't buy the book. You're too stupid to understand my book." Oh, but you just had to love him. He had a very lovable personality. We got along great. We really did. And I know a lot of people will say now too. There's a lot of allegations, okay? And I think the most notorious one is that he gave Courtney Love LSD when she was 5 years old. I can tell you this from knowing Hank and knowing how bitterly he disputed that I believe that's not true, okay? Now, when you talk, if you go back and listen, I've been playing his shows all week long. I've done many. And if you go back and listen to his history as he describes it, his life, it does sound, some of that Dave McGowan type stuff, weird scenes inside the canyon, that perhaps Hank had some influences in his life where he made some kind of deal in order to get by. I don't know for a fact, but it just does seem like he had some kind of a connections to intelligence sources out there. And I was just thinking about it, too. I says, because he was in such bad health the past few times I saw him, And I was even thinking just recently, I says, boy, I'd really love to get him on the record and have him tell the truth about all that, And maybe we can. Maybe we can get access to his materials through his wife or something like that and find out what the real Hank Harrison story was. If you go find the interview I did with him called Soaked in Bleach, there's a portion that talks about where Courtney Love he was in Ireland with a friend of his named Leary, and Leary was about 35 years old. Courtney was about 15, and she brought all this LSD to Ireland. And it turns out that Leary was a CIA agent, and he readily admitted all this. He denied it later on. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so there's some people out there making some very disparaging comments about Hank, and I got to say, you got them all wrong. Okay, you got them all wrong. And you got to rest in peace now. I can't say ill of the dead. I didn't believe everything that Hank told me. I took a lot of what he said with a grain of salt. But I did like him. I did enjoy his company. I did respect him as someone who had lived a life. And was always a great guest on the show. And by the way, too, people now, they talk about Hank Harrison, everyone knows who he is. Before he did my show, the only thing he did was that little Nick Broomfield appearance in that Who Killed Kurt Cobain. Other than that, he wasn't a frequent person out there, So anyway, it just kind of it's sad, to see someone. And it was such a big deal to us. That whole project, that going to California. I think we covered some kind of Bernie rally, or we had something we had to do in California, and then we went down and we filmed with Hank. It was such a big event in Victoria's life too. She was about 12, 13 years old at the time, and just big, a nice adventure for us, And he made us feel so welcome. His wife made us feel so welcome when we were there at their home. It was just a very nice experience. For Hank. And so God bless Hank Harrison, a man who's left his mark on the world. He's written several books. He's known, as a celebrity, celebrated, brought on the show, invited on the show to celebrate his life. and explain his experiences to us. He had his own theories about the Kurt Cobain death. And just a fascinating guy. I wish if I lived in Vegas, I would go to his funeral. I would go out there. And anyway, good old Hank Harrison. We lost him this week, so God bless you, Hank. And then, like I said, coming up after this is Tony Retman about the 60s radical revolutionary groups. And then, what's her name? Caitlin Rother about that case there on the beach house where that woman hung herself after the little boy was fatally injured. Tragic story all around. Okay. So, moving on. Now, I have a recording, okay, that I want you to hear, and it's going to blow your mind. I got a couple of recordings that I stumbled upon this week that just dropped into my lap. I guess about a year ago, I was being interviewed, and we were talking about this and talking about that. This is when I was trying to explain to people the Hunter Biden story, the Hunter Biden laptop story, which if you go to my Patreon, I got all the exclusive information on it. The whole chain of custody on that laptop, exactly what happened. I was involved in it because I had a lawsuit against one of the people involved. I worked as the investigator. Guy has me on as a guest on his show. And at the end, he goes, and I'd love to have you back to talk about Epstein. And I said, Epstein? I said, dude, everybody's talking about Epstein now. You don't need me for Epstein. I'm working on Matt Gaetz. And he goes, who's Matt Gaetz? Who's Matt Gaetz? Okay. All right. Well, no, trust me, a year from now, everyone's going to know the name Matt Gaetz. Okay. Everyone's going to know because there's a lot going on with this story. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I'm very familiar with. I was sort of almost hired a couple of times in this. I just couldn't pull it together and make the time available. It turns out it's a good thing that I didn't. Because would not have been fruitful or beneficial to me. Okay, so what is going on with Matt Gaetz? In the past year, what happened was Matt Gaetz goes on Tucker Carlson. And he says, Tucker, there's an extortion plot against my father and against me. And the FBI is investigating. And there's allegations that I was having improper relationships with a 17-year-old. And Tucker, you met that 17-year-old. We all went out to dinner together. Yeah, he goes in, right? So what the hell's going on? What's the story? Turns out that there was an investigation into Matt Gaetz. And a lot of this was because of his buddy, Joel M. Greenberg, okay? Who was the tax collector down here in, I believe, Seminole County or Orlando, Florida, Central Florida type situation. Okay. And what happened was he and Matt were like these buddies, frat boys. Both came from rich parents. So did the other guy, too. That just came out, this Ellicott character, Big Joe Ellicott. And what happened was a couple of fellas, a guy named Bob Kent and a former intelligence agent named Stephen M. Alford, came up with this scheme. Now, they were all into this whole situation of trying to recover a gentleman who I believe was former FBI, if I'm not confused, who is today being held as a hostage in Iran. And they came up with information. They have information that this guy's still alive, that he's not dead. Now, I was aware of this situation. I tried to interview the family on the show years ago and just found the whole thing to be very, there was something up. You can just kind of tell when a guest is about to come on the show and they have all kind of conditions they want to give you and they want to talk first and they want to do this, they want to do that. And you can just kind of tell some guests you just click with. They're genuine people, and you all seem to be on the same page. And then there's these other ones, they're just, what's going on with them? You don't know. So we never did the interview. And so these two claimed that they had information that this FBI agent was still alive there in Iran. And they went to Matt Gaetz. Went to Matt Gaetz' father, who has like $400 million from some kind of pharmaceutical business he had. And I said, look, there's an investigation into Matt Gaetz. There's an investigation to him trafficking teenage girls. And all the kind of shady corruption stuff going on too. Okay? We can make that go away. If you fund this rescue mission we're going to do in Iran, and then we're going to come into there's a pardon waiting for you. The whole thing, this crazy story. Now, these two guys, ultimately, they've just been arrested for trying to blackmail Gaetz' father. Now, more recently, there's been a grand jury. There's been a grand jury all this time. And Gaetz' ex-girlfriend was given immunity, and she's testifying before that grand jury. Just this week, another gentleman who was second in command over at the tax collector's office that was run by Mr. Joel Micah Greenberg was just had a plea agreement. Wasn't arrested, wasn't indicted, but came out with a plea deal agreement where he's facing basically 40 years. Okay? And he's agreeing to cooperate with the government and the FBI and the DOJ to expose corruption. And by the way, there's a lot going on here too, because Greenberg is leaking a lot of information to the press. So when it comes out that this guy, Ellicott, who used to be a sports broadcaster down here in Florida, in Orlando, on CBS News, and then got this job working for the tax collector's office, it's conflicting. Either he made $100,000 a year or $400,000 a year. We don't know exactly what yet. It's conflicting. But he's already admitted to being the conduit for bribes and shakedowns and all kinds of false billing, to the tax collector's department there, under the supervision of this character, Joel M. Greenberg, okay, who is known as Matt Gaetz' wingman. And the way the press is portraying this, okay, is that Matt Gaetz and his buddy Joel Greenberg are men about town. They're like playboys, and they're dating all these young girls. Basically, they were soliciting prostitution. They were paying these girls $300 to go out with them and whatever was going on. But we know that we've seen the payments. There's Venmo payments. We've seen them. So we know that went on. And so Greenberg is portrayed in the press as Matt Gaetz' wingman, who they went out partying together. What I'm going to tell you tonight about Greenberg is mind-blowing stuff that just dropped into my lap. But we have an actual recording. All right? It's going to be kind of difficult to play. I thought I sent it over to the guys to edit for me and have ready for me, but I guess I didn't do it correctly. And so I have it kind of rigged up here, in my own pathetic way. And hopefully you can hear some of these police chatter going on there with Greenberg and the cops that went to arrest him. Now, Greenberg gets arrested, right, for stealing about $2 million from the tax collector's office. He had fake companies set up, all kinds of stuff, where he was stealing money. He was also involved. The spotlight hit Greenberg originally because he went to his house. He set up a fake AOL account. He set up a fake Twitter and Facebook pages, right? And then he started posting defamatory lies about his opponent, his potential opponent, who might run against him at the tax collector's office. claiming that the opponent had inappropriate relationships with students. Was a teacher and had some inappropriate relationships with their students. All this gets traced right back to Greenberg's computer. So they arrest him for that, for stalking and all that kind of stuff there, right? Against his opponent. And then they start looking into this guy, and people are coming out with stories. First of all, the guy was nuts to begin with. When he took over the tax collector's office, he issued badges to his staff. The tax collector's office in Florida is the DMV. It's the Department of Motor Vehicles. That's where you go to get your driver's license. That's where you go to get your registration, your car title. Okay? But I guess that's also where you pay your property tax bill. Okay, fine. You don't need guns and badges for that. How often do these guys get into a shootout over your tax bill? Okay, I'd like to know. Okay, so he has this guy's carrying guns. We want to accept cryptocurrency. He's got all this crazy plans. He starts buying all these cryptocurrency data miners machines, a service, with using the tax collector's money, right? But then some stuff starts coming out, some real shady stuff, where he and Matt Gaetz were caught in the offices in the middle of the night. Because what happens when let's say you're a 21-year-old girl, right? And you just you had your license for 4 years. Now it's time to renew your license. You bring your old license in, they turn it in, and they issue you a new license, right? And the old license says when you're 21. So you would turn those licenses in, and then it would be in a box called "to be shredded" or "to be destroyed." So Matt Gaetz and Joel Greenberg were breaking into these offices in the middle of the night because they had the alarm codes and they had the keys and everything. So they get in the middle of the night and going through these driver's licenses. So when they took these teenage girls out, they would have ID that said they were 21 years old. Okay? Then on top of that, Greenberg does this thing where he tries to get some COVID relief money. So he actually took old companies he used to have that were no longer in business, okay, and re-established them, went in there and set them up again with the Secretary of State, renew the corporations in order to collect money from these COVID relief, like $500,000 he stole. The guy had to pay back about $2 million all in all. COVID relief and all the money he stole from the taxpayers of Florida with his schemes around this tax collector's office. So I knew about all this, and I'm one of the first people talking about all this. I was talking about Matt Gaetz before he was on Tucker Carlson there, trying to tell people what's going on down here. So there is some bombshell stuff that's come out about this guy Greenberg. Now, while he was by the way, Greenberg right now is facing 12 years minimum, okay? According to his soon-to-be ex-wife, Abby, he's in denial. He doesn't believe he's going to prison. He thinks he's going to worm his way out of this somehow. Now, there's a video that's on YouTube, okay, of Greenberg. Now, you got to remember, Greenberg's out there. He's a married guy, but he's out there fooling around all over the place with all these young girls, right? Openly. But the only time his wife has a problem with him and the kids have a problem with him, okay, Abby has a problem with him, is after he starts getting busted. Then, he's a drug addict and he's crazy. He's bipolar. He's diagnosed bipolar. So she goes down to stay with her family in Jupiter, Florida, right? And Jeff Greenberg, he's on pretrial release with the ankle bracelet up there in Orlando. He's not allowed to leave the Orlando area. But he knows his wife's down there in Jupiter, and he thinks she's cheating on him. So he hops in his car and he drives 2.5 hours down there, violating his pretrial release conditions, and goes to her parents' house, just walks in the door. They call the police. They're terrified of him. And he goes into his wife's bedroom, and he goes to wake her up, and it's not her. It's her best friend. Where is she? Well, she's staying with another friend named Justin. She slept over at Justin's house, who's her friend over there in Jupiter, Florida, where her parents live and her best friend live. Now, how do I know all this? Because there's dash cam, body cam footage of the police responding to this scene in Jupiter, Florida, where this tax collector shows up clearly wasted out of his mind with the ankle monitor on, clearly out of his jurisdiction where he's allowed to be present. And he's even, when he's trying to explain to them with all his double talk and his nonsense about how he is allowed to be there, you could tell no one's really buying it. Okay, I got to take a commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. Oh, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Okay, gotta stop that. Damn. Okay. Oh, that's not gonna work. And now a word from our sponsors. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland street scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Opperman Report. And I'm trying to tell you about what's going on here with Matt Gaetz and Joel M. Greenberg, the former tax collector down here in Florida. Now, the reason why I know about this whole situation with Greenberg leaving Orlando, driving 2 hours down to Jupiter to see his wife, who's a estranged wife, and she's down there and she's sleeping with a friend over there. The place is Justin and all this, is because all this is caught on police body cam. Okay? And I've seen the whole thing. And it's very interesting because the cops don't want to touch this. Okay? Here's this guy who clearly does not belong there in that home. No one knows, no one wants him there. The 911 call, the mother-in-law is terrified of him, the father's terrified of him, everybody's terrified. Then the wife shows up and he's bipolar, he's facing 12 years, he's not supposed to be here, he's got the ankle monitor, and the cop's like, well, he's drinking coffee, and, the father-in-law seems to, well, we're afraid of him. Yeah, I know, but they're making every excuse for this guy, and they let him walk, let him drive away. When he's clearly wasted, too. At least give him a sobriety test. Okay? And then, after he leaves, because the wife is cute, so all these cops now start, want to be heroes with this wife. Oh, you gotta change all your apps and stuff like that, so you can't trace you down, so you can't track you down where you are. All your location settings, you gotta turn that off. You have to go down and get a restraining order. First thing tomorrow morning. That's going to keep you safe there. Give us a call. We'll be right back. Oh, the guy was just here. You didn't even put him in cuffs. Okay? You let him go. And now you want to give her electronet. And she's telling them. She starts whispering. His family gave me a fully paid for house. So she's not going to testify against this guy or cause any trouble for him. Because his family's so rich. You have no idea. His family's so rich. She's whispering to them. Okay, so what a scene. And you could just read between all the lines in this scene. Okay. So the local cops do nothing. They don't lift a finger to help this woman, her mother, her stepfather, her kids, being terrorized by this clear maniac who's acting erratic. He's acting crazy. Now, I knew that incident caused him to violate his pretrial services agreement, his bail. And I knew that they came and arrested him for that. And in the papers, they talk about, well, yeah, there was this kind of like a 4-hour standoff. And at one point, he went to his door, and he threw some medications outside, and he slammed the door shut again. So the way they make it sound, it wasn't all that extreme. He was, didn't want to come out, so he stayed inside. They waited 4 hours. Now, what we have now and what you're about to hear on the Opperman Report, okay, is the U.S. Marshals calling up the dispatch over there in, I guess it's Seminole County or Orlando, calling them up and saying, hey, we got a guy over there. He's violated his conditions of pretrial release. We're kind of worried, he's going to call. We're going to go down there tomorrow and pick him up tomorrow in the morning. But we're a little worried because there's the safety of other people in the house and other people around him. And we think we need to have this guy picked up tonight. So the dispatch starts assigning people to go after this guy. And I said, well, what's his name? Well, his name is Joel Greenberger. Well, you got a middle name? It's Micah. All of a sudden, supervisors start coming on the line saying, okay, 224 and 428, all you guys who are assigned to this case, call me on my cell phone, okay? Call me on my cell phone before you go down there. Hold up on going down there to Mr. Greenberg's house to pick him up on a warrant that a judge has issued as far as violating his pretrial release. I'm going to intervene because Joel Greenberg's a buddy of mine, and we're keeping our eye out on for him. and we're going to make things as easy for him as possible. Then we hear a phone call between these cops and Joel Greenberg, where Joel Greenberg is telling them, guys, I have a rifle and I have guns and I bought all this tannerite. Tannerite is this stuff where it's like if you shoot at it, it's in targets, it's in cups and barrels, all kind of stuff like that. And when you shoot at it, it explodes. He goes, I've buried tannerite in 17 locations around my backyard. These are essentially IEDs. Anybody coming on my property is going to get blown up. Now, the cops are saying to him, not, hey, hold on, they don't threaten to blow us up. Who are you, Black Lives Matter, Antifa? No, not saying that. Saying, Joe, we're your friends. These are your buddies, and you're threatening to kill them. You got to hear this. You got to hear this guy's relationship with the cops. These people, okay, are getting away with murder. This bunch down here, this corrupt bunch, this Matt Gaetz, his father, this family, this other character. A lot of them are getting arrested, okay? But still, even while they're under arrest, witnesses are being given houses. A witness to all this is being given a house? Where's the investigation to that? Now, I read the whole plea deal with this guy, Ellicott, who was hired. But by the way, too, this guy Greenberg hired all his friends as consultants over there. There was one woman there that was making $100,000 a year. No one had any idea what she did. She never showed up for work. Okay? So there's all kinds of corruption going on down here with this. But I'm telling you, they can't cover it all up. I know for a fact there's a lot going on down here. I know for a fact. Okay? And some stuff's going to come out. There's going to be a big story coming out in Mother Jones. And then one of the first interviews with these reporters is going to be on this show here. Afterward, because I had some very professional people come to me with this story a long time ago. And unfortunately, I haven't helped them out as much as I hoped they would. Okay, I'm going to play for you right now the tape of...
We can go out there tonight rather than waiting for our marshals to pick him up tomorrow.
Okay. What's the address?
I looked on the map and it looked like it was unincorporated, but...
Okay. 1 second. And what's his name?
Joel Greenberg.
Spell last name? Okay. Do you have a middle name or initial?
Micah.
And do you know if he's white, black, or Hispanic?
Yeah, white male. He's on a GPS monitor, and as of right now, he's at the resident.
Seminole to 4214, 1065, a signal 17 and 43.
4214, go ahead.
10-4. It's going to be an attempted contact for a 29P subject who has a federal violation of conditions of release. His name is Joel. He is on GPS, and he is showing at the location. He is known to carry a Signal 0 gun and drives a tan Toyota Avalon. The U.S. Pretrial Services.
Copy. 4414, 1051 to assess.
Copy 2022.
214 Seminole.
214.
Reference Signal 17 you just gave out to those deputies. Can you put that on hold? And what deputies are assigned to it right now?
42, 45, and 44.
44, can you call my cell phone? And 42 and the other deputy, go ahead and stand by.
We're standing by now. I'm calling to see if it's valid warrant and everything. 45, I copy.
Seminole copy.
414 to 42, 45, and 44. Meet me at the church at Heathrow on Markham Cliff. 4245, copy. 4414, copy, sir.
214 to 25.
Good.
Are you almost clear?
Simple.
Call my cell phone when you can.
Fuzzy Signal 0. 31. 45, just 43. He is starting IEDs. He's saying he has a rifle as well.
Somebody speak phone?
Yeah.
Did the deputies hear me?
Yes, they can hear you.
I have tannerite with tubes planted all throughout my yard. Inside those tubes, there's ball bearings and there are nails. I have very good aim. Those are essentially IEDs. We'll do a lot of damage. I have 17 access points where I can fire from. You do not know where they are. I shoot the high-powered rifle. They're IEDs. They will explode and cause harm.
Hi, Joel, didn't you just say that you respected them and you valued them?
He's saying he has a rifle as well.
I don't want them getting hurt. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. I'm here because I care about you.
Comes on my property, these things will start exploding.
Yeah. We're monitoring, sir.
Because I do this shit, okay? Hey, did you hear me?
I heard you, but did you understand? No, they heard you, but did you hear what I told you earlier? That they gave you the courtesy of coming out here instead of letting the marshals come out here as a respect to you.
Well, I'm dying anyway tonight, so it doesn't matter. If the marshals come, I'd love to take them out.
The marshals aren't coming. I'm not letting them come because I don't want you taking anybody out. I want you to be safe.
There's about 17 different places where these things are put in the ground. In a tree.
Joel, you're out here. You're talking like a crazy person, okay?
I had a lot of time to prepare for this.
No, but this is insane.
Okay?
It's insane, dude.
It is fucking insane.
These are the good guys.
Yeah. These are the guys you work with.
Hurt them.
Yeah, but you just threatened them.
I'm not threatening them. I will not do it to them.
Think up to Megan. Are you wanting me to hold it back or leave?
Continue to hold back there. We're still up front.
Please, man. This is not the way to go, okay? This is like very dark. This is not what you're doing.
This is not Joel. This is not you.
I don't want you close. That's not you. What the hell? No.
You don't know how impressed I was with what you did. I mean, so, again, that was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Somebody coming way out of left field, and you took Seminole County by storm. You can do it again, but this ain't going to help. This is not the way to garner friendship and garner respect.
I know there's a lot of people that still love you. Not only for things you made real conceptual, and this is not how you remember.
They're getting 17.
It's not.
Can we say that right? Yeah, that's what he said.
Let's just back out, and we're just going to give it. Supposedly, some investigators are going to come out. They're just going to sit on it because the only people. So anyway. And then I remember.
Was this the one that the carjacker, the one-legged lady? Yeah, on Markham Woods Road.
Yeah, me and what's his name? He goes out. Clennis goes out with her back.
That's right.
I rolled over and I saw you.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, hit him with the shotgun.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Now I remember that.
Remember? Then the guy was on top of me because you had your shotgun.
Yeah.
And then I rolled back over and I saw you again. I'm like, help! Freaking crazy, man.
Oh yeah, he did a hole in the back. The cushion of my patrol car seat. He was a murderer.
Really? That guy was.
Holy shit. Wow. I don't care, but please, throw it on the front. Listen, look. Fuck, dude. Guys. Shit, burgers.
Okay. All right, guys. So you heard that here on the Opperman Report. Have you heard that anywhere else? Have you heard anywhere else about this Matt? They're talking about Matt Gaetz today. About the ex-girlfriend. They're talking about the shock jock sports broadcaster testifying against him. No one's talking about how this guy, Matt Gaetz' buddy, his wingman, his best friend, first of all, is giving away houses. Okay. And secondly, planting tannerite with ball bearings and nails in his backyard in tubes. And listen to those cops kiss his ass, man. It's money. It's money. That's all about why it's about this money. there's so much more going on with this story than anybody has any idea with, man. And you're not hearing it on MSNBC or CNN or any of these other places. You know, you'd think it'd be out to get Matt Gaetz. And the guy is just so arrogant. I think he thinks he's going to get away with this, man. Greenberg still thinks he's going to get away with this. Because that's how they've lived their whole lives. So anyway, there's some exclusive stuff for you. I haven't heard anywhere else, man. I guarantee it. And all the Epstein experts. Oh, who's Matt Gaetz? Who's Matt Gaetz? You know, I think this is a pretty good, damn good story too, man. Okay, just as good as I thought when Epstein was good. Okay, so this is what we're working on now. All right. Well, we're out of time. Please keep an eye on this Matt Gaetz story, because if there are not like huge prosecutions and indictments of all these characters, man, this is going to be a story I'm going to be talking about for the rest of my life. Okay, there's no way they're getting away with this. So, please, if you can, you know, retweet and like and share my content right now. Like I said, the income's down about 30%, 35%, which is like, oh, God, brutal. So I really need some help there with that. Or if you want to become a member and subscribe, these YouTube videos are going to be going up there on, and this audio will be going up there on Patreon in the free section. But to support that too, you know, I got that Norman Pardo interview going up there on who was O.J. Simpson's manager for many years. Now he's coming out. He has who really killed Nicole. He has his own theory going on there. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background with all that O.J. stuff. There's lawsuits now going on, and people trying to drag me into stuff and kind of set me up. But what I've learned from all this is that OJ does listen to the show. He's listened to every single show I've done about him. So I'm considered to be like one of the real OJ guys out there. Ah, boy, I'm exhausted. You have no idea. So I was going to tell this story about Vic and her garbage disposal. But I don't think we have enough time. You know, so Hank Harrison was 80 years old. You know, my dad's 88. And, you know, you start losing people like that, you know, your dad's age. And my dad's still alive, you know. And it really makes you think about your own mortality and what you've done in your life. And I've done a lot in my life that I'm proud of. And it's just a shame that I have so many people just lying about me. And if you have a problem with me in reality, you know, let's talk about it. But you know, to make up stuff about me is just crazy. You know, like the only thing people can use against me is stuff they make up. And it's been that way forever. But you start to look at your accomplishments in life and your failures and your things and your mortality. And I was just thinking, you know, there's so many things. You have a daughter who's 20 years old, 21 years old. There's so many things that they don't know, that they need a dad, you know, they need a father. And so many of these kids have no father, and they're just lost. But even my daughter, you know, the past couple of weeks, she's in her own apartment over there in D.C., and they have a maintenance company that comes to fix things. And her garbage disposal wasn't working. You know, Dad, the garbage disposal stopped working. What do we do? And I says, well, there's a little reset button underneath it. You got to climb under that little reset button. Oh, no, I'm afraid to touch the reset button. What if I make it worse? Okay. And then I'm telling her, well, there should be a little wrench in one of the kitchen drawers, and you can put that in there. It's a little hole, and right in the middle, you put that, and you can kind of loosen it up, and it'll start working. It's a simple thing to fix a garbage disposal. Okay, there's a real powerful motor in that damn thing, man. It's very, very seldom that the motor burns out. You know, it's very seldom you have a leak out of the disposal itself. So the only problems you have with it is something gets stuck in there. You got to reset it. You got to loosen it up. That's it. It takes 5 minutes to fix a garbage disposal. It took my poor kid 2 weeks to get this thing fixed. The sink's full of water. They can't get it to go down. They got dishes everywhere that they can't wash. Oh, these poor college kids over there. You know, if they had a dad, you know, living a couple of minutes away, just drive over there, you know. Fix it. You know. So, anyway. Just made me think a lot this week that what would happen if, you know, if I was gone. Who would teach my kid these things, you know? Who would be there to explain these little things to her? Insurance and credit scores and taxes and all kind of stuff that you teach your kids, you know? All right. I'm done. So tonight, you got a little tribute to Hank Harrison there. We lost Hank. And here you had a guy who was known Hank for 9 years. And, you know, gave him a platform that people enjoyed and respected and looked forward to. And then you had some information about Matt Gaetz, and no one's been talking about Matt Gaetz before me. And exclusive information about Matt Gaetz, these recordings, and Tannerite. It's got Joel Greenberg's backyard. So if you like this kind of work and you appreciate this kind of work, you know, and when I tell you, got a problem, you know, that the podcast revenue is down 30%, I come to you and I say, I need your help. Now, you can respond to this and do it. Ed, we don't want your show. We don't like your show. I don't like listening to it. I don't want to listen to it anymore. And I'm glad you're going to be off the air. Or, Ed, I'm sorry to hear you're having a dip, and we'd like to help you make up that loss because we like the show. And you're right. We haven't heard any of these things before. We never heard of Hank Harrison before you. We never heard of the Joel Greenberg and his stuff and his recording. Tonight you presented us with it. You know, thank you, Ed. What I don't need to hear is, Ed's always begging for money. Ed's always broke. F you, die. Go away and die. Okay, I hope you die. Okay, if you want to say that to me. Okay, with all the work I've done for this audience, man. With all the free advice and the free work that I've given to the listeners of this show. That when I come back and say, hey, I'm in the same position you were in a few months ago when you came to me. Can you help me out too? Oh, it's a horrible person.